Hello again, friends. As K-pop fans, we are happy to see our favorites fulfill their dreams and have lucrative careers thanks to their hard work. If you saw part 1 in the series, you'll already know that some K-pop artists were unfortunate to experience childhood poverty, but they overcame it. I'd say these stories apply more to first generation and second generation idols though, as they were more likely to have grown up in the 1980s and 1990s before the 21st century economic boom. While Korea now stands in the top 10 in the world in terms of GDP, it's been a long road of ups and downs, and one in particular was the famous 1997 Asian financial crisis. Almost all Asian countries were impacted by it, and South Korea was no exception. Thankfully, the economies in this region recovered by the turn of the century, but an entire generation of people experienced great poverty, and of course, many K-pop stars from previous generations were included in this cohort. I plan to go more in depth on the growth and economy of Korea and the rise of K-pop in a future video, so stay tuned for that later. And with that brief economic lessons, let's get on with part 2 in this series and get to know more about our favorite K-pop stars. K-pop mostly started as a domestic music genre, and as its popularity has grown, it's attracted talent from all over the world now, thus helping the genre evolve across the generations. Tiffany, of the now legendary Girls' Generation, was one of those who was inspired by BoA back in the early 2000s, and she too wanted to be a part of it all. No one would know that the stylish and confident artist who's gone on to have a solo career as well has had her share of financial struggles before her debut. Tiffany is a California native whose mother died when she was 12, and her father racked up a lot of debt. This led to financial hardship and her estrangement from him. When she was 15, she was spotted by an SM Entertainment representative at a singing competition, auditioned, and was accepted as a trainee. 3 weeks later, she was in South Korea, but without financial support. She taught English to make her way. Eventually, she was brought into the Girls' Generation in 2007, and the rest is history. Except years later, her father's financial struggles made headlines as he was convicted of fraud in 2018. Even though Tiffany had not had any contact with him for years, and under pressure from him, Tiffany ultimately paid his debts. She may be the beauty or the beast, maybe the fame. Super Junior member Leeteuk is known for his warmth and kindness and amazing haircuts, but the talented artist has seen his fair share of poverty and pain. He grew up in crippling poverty and is probably one of the reasons why his parents fought back in the 80s. The abuse extended to Leeteuk as well, and he was severely disciplined. This pushed him to work hard to become a music artist, and he succeeded in his dream. However, fame and fortune couldn't keep him from his previous life because his abusive father later tragically killed his grandparents before killing himself in 2014. It's been a long, hard road for him, and I hope time will help heal some of those wounds. Sejeong of the both sadly disbanded groups Gugudan and I.O.I is known for her winsome smile and amazing cheekbones, but sad to say, she's been through the fire. Although not everything is known about her childhood, she's revealed that she has had to rely on social welfare to eat. Her mother held a variety of odd jobs, including milk delivery and tutoring. This still wasn't enough to pay the bills, and Sejeong and her family lived with her aunt in a separate dwelling that was about 40 square meters or 430 square feet. She lived on school lunches, but when school was out, she only had about 3,500 won every day, or about $3 American or 250 euro to eat with. Sejeong lived on the cheap but filling jjajangmyeon, and she would save coupons when she could afford the sweet and tangy tonsuryuk. Those are both delicious, by the way. My guess is that she no longer has to check the price of jjajangmyeon, and I'm sure she still enjoys an occasional bowl of tonsuryuk. 2AM's Kwon is known as the diva of Korea, and it's well earned, who must be protected at all costs. Okay? Alright. Our Kwon constantly pushes the envelope when it comes to gender styles and how male K-pop artists should behave. He makes a lot of money now and is not scared to flaunt it to make sure his style is on point, okay? But if you talk to him as a teenager, any money was hard to find. As a teenager, he had very little money, and his parents could only give him 5,000 won, or about $4 or 350 euros, a day for food and bus transportation. He once tried to supplement it by stealing money from his parents, but he learned how poor they were when he only came up with 10,000 won, or $9. As with other children of poverty, he developed a drive to succeed that made him very successful and wealthy. He eventually trained under JYP Entertainment for 7 years and debuted in the very successful 2AM in 2008.
You still my number one. 날 찾지 말아줘. 내 슬픔 가려줘.
Legendary Korean artist Boa can now live a life of leisure, but she grew up in inimical circumstances. After debuting in 2000 at the shocking age of 13, she was already helping to provide for her family. Times were hard and poverty was a reality, and it was the only way to help get food on the table. This life gave Boa the drive she needed to succeed as a K-pop and J-pop idol, and when the checks started rolling in, she immediately became her family's primary source of income. She bought them a house, paid for her brother's college tuitions, and generally made life comfortable for herself and her family. It makes me wonder if Boa is answering the phone or watching my videos of me gushing about her all the time, because I could use a few dollar bills over here. Wink, wink. Hey, Boa, call me. Ah, geez, that did not sound straight at all. BTS's rapper extraordinaire Min Yoongi, or Suga, may seem to have been gifted with roses, but in the beginning it reeked of sweat and tears. He was born into poverty in Daegu, a city in the south-centralist part of the country. His mother was also sick, and his grandmother took care of him until she had had surgery and was well enough to take him back. When Yoongi became a teenager, he decided to pursue music. His family was vehemently against him being a musician, most of whom are poor, and told him to get a stable job as a government worker. He persevered against the pressure, and he had a small job that only gave him enough money to either pay for bus fare to work or eat. Suga would take the 2-hour trek home with a full belly or ride the bus home with hunger pains. But the work paid off, and he was discovered during a big hit audition. He mostly focused on the dreams of being a music producer within the company until he ended up debuting in BTS in 2013 and being a part of history. Hey everyone, that's it for part 2 of the Rags to Riches stories of our idols. I'll be doing part 3 soon. Until then, please be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons for me. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you for stopping by. Check out many more of my videos while you're here, and I shall see you next time.